Máximo, who is the chief economist at the Food and Agriculture Organization, the FAO of the UN. You've just been on the panel, the opening panel for the 16th Forum now. I know you've been at the panel and you're a friend of the Forum before. You had a very clear message and a call to action this morning, Máximo, which was good food for all, for today and tomorrow is the goal. And then the discussion did expand into the how-to. But tell me more about what you said to the Forum this morning.
So when we refer to good food for all, for today and tomorrow, we are trying to make clear that the agri-food system brings the right to food. Now, we normally forget that, and we assume that is a given. Now, whenever you do something good, like giving the right to food, you always have some problems. And those are the externalities that we create. And yes, the agri-food system creates externalities over emissions, of biodiversity, over many things. But the important thing to understand is that if we want to assure that this right to food continues in the future, the agri-food system needs to be more efficient. And that's the whole idea. Now, what is the challenge and what is the problem? So if we change the way of thinking and we see of the agri-food system as a good potential to change and to provide the right to food, we need to attract financing. But today, the financing from climate is only 3.2, 3.3% to the agri-food system, 1% to smallholders. So it doesn't make any sense because of the two sectors, energy and the agricultural sector, the agri-food system. Energy will resolve itself by the private sector and is already in that path. But the agri-food system is a little bit more complex, but has a lot more opportunity in gaining efficiencies and in redistribution. That's what we call the just transition. So that's a little bit the logic of how we are looking at that, and that's how we have designed our roadmap to SDG 2 and 1.5 degrees Celsius.
So you mentioned this on the panel, that you have a very clear roadmap. Does it answer the how, the complexities of the agri-food sector?
Of course. The idea of the roadmap, it plays over 10 domains of action. 2 of them are cross-cutting. One is on policies, on data. For example, the repurposing agenda that was referred is part of the policies, but it has also 8 sectorial interventions. Let me pick one, livestock. That's one that is very problematic because of methane emissions. So we bring all the scientific knowledge that we have and the policy that can be implemented to produce livestock in a more efficient way. Why? Because certain parts of the world still needs the proteins from livestock. Certain parts of the world are over-consuming those proteins, and we need to reduce that. That's the redistribution part. But the efficiency is also there, like, for example, food loss and waste. 30% of our food is lost or waste. And we need to change that. And that implies efficiency in reduction of losses and also efficiency, behavioral change, because most of the waste happen at a household level, in how we can consume in a more efficient way so that we don't waste all that food that is needed.
So you have that roadmap. I'd be interested to know what you heard, maybe what you learned from the panel this morning, because there was an OECD representative talking about the call to action for convergence, but the way that we use information, how it's gathered, how we find a convergence and a way forward. This was something that was raised on the panel. So what were you hearing?
No, several things. I think there was a very important question about, okay, if I do proper management of my soils and I create environmental positive things, that is not priced in the market. And then is where I responded, okay, we are developing the cost of the true cost of food to try to understand those hidden costs or those hidden benefits that we don't have in play. That's really important. We also heard the importance of convergence, as you said. And for me, convergence, there are 2 dimensions of convergence. One, which is very complex, is that we, all the actors, including international organizations and policymakers, we need to start thinking together as a package and not duplicating negatively or positive actions so that we can coordinate the transformation. It's very complex to do, but there has been some progress. The tight situation that we have lived in the last 2 or 3 years, I think has helped, but we need to continue that. And the other component is how we can link climate negotiations with transformation, agri-food system transformation negotiations. COP28 was a first step, but it's not enough. We have COP29, and we need to achieve by Brazil in COP30 how we can improve that. So I think there are several topics that we need to learn, and we need to bring also scientific evidence to things. Normally we forget that there is scientific evidence, and we do policies not necessarily thinking on science.
Ursula von der Leyen gave the opening address to us this morning. She talked about strategic discussions, moving that forward, wanting to look at mitigations and concrete ideas, tangible solutions are the words she used, by the summer of this year. Is that possible? Will that help? Finally then, are you optimistic?
Look, I am always optimistic. I have to be optimistic. We are living in a very complex world, and this agri-food system is very complex, a lot of risk and uncertainties. I think that what she was saying makes a lot of sense. I was very happy that she was using the agri-food system language, which is really important. But also, it's very important that they rethink the way they were planning their policies. It's really important that they think that they are not just Europe and then there is the world. No, Europe is part of that world, and that's part of the logic of the systems. So whatever you do will affect you and will affect the world. So we need to understand that. And that's in a complex where we have trade. We cannot forget that the world needs trade to be able to use our resources in the most efficient way. And we need trade to supply the food that the world needs. There are countries that don't have comparative advantage to produce the food that they need. There are others that have, and they can export and create income for them to import the other things that they need. We cannot go away from that. So I think if the Commission starts to think in a system way, it will help a lot the redesign of their policies and to understand the importance of the interlinkage of the today and tomorrow.
Máximo, I'm glad you're optimistic. Many thanks and enjoy the rest of the forum today.
No, a pleasure. Thank you so much.